The ladder is a liar.
Good morning to you, too. That's quite the opening statement.
No, seriously, stick with me here. We are looking at the results from round 1 of AFT Dice Season 12. And if you just glance at the standings...
Just opening the app?
Right. If you just open the app and look at who is 1 through 18, you are being completely misled.
Oh, absolutely.
The ink is barely dry. And sure, we have the Brisbane Lions doing Brisbane Lions things at the top, but then you look slightly lower down and...
It's absolute chaos.
It is. It looks like someone took the Season 11 standings, threw them in a blender, hit puree, and then just poured them out onto the table.
It was certainly a volatile start, to say the least, but that statement, the ladder is a liar, is actually the perfect jumping off point for today's deep dive.
I thought so.
Because a ladder, especially after just one round, is really just a log of raw results. It tells you what happened, but it does a terrible job of explaining how or why.
Right, and that is our mission today. We have stacks of data, match reports, historical stats from Season 11, and, well, we are not just going to read the list to you.
No, anyone with an internet connection can do that.
Exactly. We want to construct something more sophisticated. We're going to build a true power ranking.
Which is distinct from a ladder. A power ranking is an attempt to measure true strength. We're trying to synthesize the pedigree of Season 11.
We know these teams are...
Right. With the raw, unfiltered execution we just saw in round 1, we have to figure out if what we saw was a fluke or a trend.
And there is a central tension in the data right now that I really want to explore. Because on one hand, you have the stability of the champions, and on the other, you have this dice fairy tale unfolding with the underdogs. So let me put this to you and to the listener right up front. When you look at these round 1 results side by side with last season's finish, what is the actual story?
Right.
Is it the dominance of the top dogs? Or is it the rocket-like rise of the teams that we're supposed to be rebuilding?
Well, to answer that, we have to look beyond just wins and losses. We have to look at margins, we have to look at venue difficulty, and we have to talk about percentage.
Because in this game, not all wins are created equal.
Precisely.
Let's start at the very top then. The standard bearers, the juggernaut, the Brisbane Lions. They finished Season 11 at number 1.
They are the benchmark, the team everyone is chasing.
Yeah, and in round 1, they played St Kilda. Now, context is crucial here. St Kilda finished Season 11 at number 3. This was supposed to be a heavyweight clash, a preview of the finals.
You'd think so.
I was expecting a grind, maybe a 10-point game.
On paper, absolutely. A number 1 seed versus a number 3 seed is usually a game of inches. You expect a real tactical arm wrestle.
That is not what happened.
No, it was not.
Brisbane didn't just win, they dismantled them. A 51-point margin. And their percentage, it is sitting at a ludicrous 206.25%.
Let's just pause on that number for a second, because I want to make sure the listener really grasps the magnitude of 206%.
It's insane.
In our league, percentage is calculated by your points scored divided by points allowed, multiplied by 100. A percentage of 100 means you're exactly average. You scored exactly what you let in.
Right.
A percentage of 130 is usually considered elite dominance over a season.
And they are at 206.
Exactly. They scored double what St Kilda could muster. This is where the power ranking concept kicks in.
How so?
Well, if Brisbane had beaten a bottom 4 team by 50 points, we'd say, good job, you did what was expected. But to demolish the third best team from the previous season by that margin...
That signals sustained dominance.
Right. It tells us the gap between number 1 and number 3 might be a canyon.
It really feels like they held that number 1 spot, not by default, but by force. I mean, it was a rout. But what does this say about St Kilda? Because of the mathematics of the ladder, St Kilda falls from being the 3rd seed in Season 11 to sitting at number 18, dead last after 1 round.
It creates a massive perception crisis.
It's brutal. Imagine being a St Kilda fan. You walk in thinking you're a contender, and you walk out staring at the wooden spoon position.
But here is where we have to be careful with the ladder is a liar concept. Are St Kilda suddenly the worst team in the league? Probably not.
They just ran into a buzzsaw.
Exactly. In our power rankings later, we have to decide, do we punish St Kilda for being bad, or do we just acknowledge that Brisbane is terrifyingly good? My gut says St Kilda is still a finals contender, but they have a lot of psychological damage to repair this week.
So that's the reality check at the top. But now let's talk about the magic. The aha moment of the round. We have to talk about the anomaly. North Melbourne.
This is the data point that breaks all the predictive models.
It really does. North Melbourne finished season 11 at number 18.
Oh.
They were the wooden spooners,
Wow.
the absolute bottom of the barrel.
Right.
In round 1, they travel away to GMHBA Stadium to play Geelong. Now, Geelong finished season 11 at number 6.
And for the listener who might not follow every venue detail, GMHBA Stadium is a fortress. It's a uniquely shaped ground, very narrow, which really messes with the defensive structures of visiting teams.
The crowd is right on top of you, too.
Yeah, Geelong simply does not lose there often, especially not to the team that finished last.
And yet, North Melbourne didn't just win. They won by 41 points. They shot up from number 18 all the way to number 2 on the ladder. It is the ultimate turnaround.
It is statistically startling. You're talking about a team rising 16 spots in relative standing compared to their previous season finish.
So is this the Dice fairy tale we were promised? Or is this, dare I say it, sustainable?
That's the debate. When a team rises from the ashes like a phoenix, you have to ask, did they fundamentally change, or did Geelong just have a nightmare day?
Well, look at the flip side. Geelong drops 11 spots relative to their pedigree to sit at number 17.
Which suggests a bit of both. North Melbourne clearly brought an intensity that Geelong wasn't ready for, but a 41-point swing away from home that hints at something real.
It's not just luck.
No, it's too large a margin to just be a lucky roll of the dice. It suggests North Melbourne has found a new gear. Whether they can stay there is the big question, but for now, they are the story of the round.
It's the hope that kills you, right?
Yeah.
But right now, that hope is very much alive for North fans. However, North wasn't the only team flipping the script. We saw some serious giant killing going on elsewhere.
We did. We saw momentum shifts that completely defied the season 11 seeding.
Let's look at Carlton. They finished season 11 down at number 15. Bottom tier. They were up against the West Coast Eagles, who were the number 2 seed, the runner-up, and the game was at Marvel Stadium.
Again, on paper, West Coast should handle this. They are the established power. They were in the grand final conversation.
But Carlton comes out and wins by 14 points. They vault from a bottom-tier finish to a top-5 start. They are sitting at number 5 right now.
I'd disgrade Carlton as a momentum machine based on this. You know, beating the number 2 seed is arguably more impressive than North Melbourne beating the number 6 seed, even if the margin wasn't as high.
That's an interesting distinction. You value the quality of the opponent over the size of the win.
In a power ranking, yes. West Coast was supposed to be elite. They were the second-best team in the league. For Carlton to handle them, that changes the narrative completely. And look at West Coast. Humbled is the word used in our source material. They dropped 12 spots relative to their pedigree.
It shows that in this league, if you aren't switched on, your reputation from last season means absolutely nothing. The Dice don't care about your past glory.
The same applies to Hawthorn.
Right. Hawthorn finished season 11 at number 14. They played the Western Bulldogs, who were number 13, so a battle of the lower mid-table. But Hawthorn wins by 17 points, and suddenly they look like a dark horse. They are sitting at number 4.
That result is sneaky good. It wasn't an upset of the same magnitude as Carlton or North, but it was decisive. Hawthorn reversed their fortunes immediately. They've positioned themselves as a top 4 contender right out of the gate. It's a massive confidence booster.
It really feels like the middle of the pack has just risen up to punch the leaders in the face. With the exception of Brisbane, the old guard took a beating.
It creates a fascinating vacuum at the top. If West Coast and Geelong are sliding, who fills that void?
Well, that actually brings me to the next group. We've been talking about these wild swings and emotional upsets, but we need to talk about a team that is specifically interesting to you, the listener, today. Let's zoom in on the Gold Coast Suns.
Ah, yes, the Suns. If you want a case study in how to start a season correctly, look right here.
So, listener, if you are a Suns fan, you are probably walking on air right now. They finished season 11 at number 7. Solid. A finals team. But in round 1, they went to the SCG to play the Sydney Swans.
And we mentioned GMHBA earlier, but the SCG, the Sydney Cricket Ground, is notoriously difficult for different reasons. It's short and wide, almost circular. It changes the angles of the game.
Right.
If you aren't used to it, you get claustrophobic. It's a very tough assignment for any traveling team.
And the Suns didn't just scrape a win. They commanded it, a plus 26 margin. Their percentage is sitting at 123.01%.
This is a crucial data point for our power rankings. While everyone is talking about North Melbourne's shock win or Brisbane's dominance, the Suns put in arguably the most professional performance of the round.
Professional is a great word for it. They are sitting pretty at number 3 on the ladder.
And look at who they beat. Sydney was number 17 in season 11, so yes, they beat a lower-ranked team. But doing it away from home by that margin, that signals stability. It signals premiership poise.
That's the exact phrase the source used. Premiership poise. Do you think that's fair? Are they a lock for the top 5?
I think so. You look for teams that can travel and win convincingly without the drama. The Suns did that. They didn't have the wild fluctuation of North Melbourne or the massive drop-off of St Kilda. They just went to work. If I'm building a power ranking, that reliability is incredibly valuable. They are the steady hand in a chaotic round.
So we have the dominant, the giant killers, and the professionals. But not every game was a blowout. We had some real nail-biters. And this makes your job of ranking them really hard, doesn't it?
It makes it incredibly difficult, because how do you value a gritty, ugly 2-point win compared to a flashy 40-point blowout?
Let's look at Richmond versus Melbourne. This was a massive clash. Richmond, season 11, number 5. Melbourne, season 11, number 4.
A true 8-point game right at the start of the season. These are two teams that expect to be there at the end.
And Richmond won, but only by 2 points at the MCG.
Right. So, on the ladder, Richmond is number 9. Melbourne is number 10. They're separated by nothing but that 2-point margin.
How do we interpret that? Does a gritty derby win count as much as what the Suns did?
We call this the clutch factor. Richmond found a way to win a tight game against an elite opponent. That matters. But we also have to give credit to Melbourne. Even though they lost, they are described as still elite. Losing by 2 points to a top 5 team doesn't mean you're bad. It just means you lost a coin flip.
It's a razor loss.
Exactly. In my power rankings, I wouldn't drop Melbourne too far. They prove they can hang with the best, even in defeat. Unlike St Kilda, who got blown off the park, Melbourne just got unlucky.
We saw similar tight margins elsewhere. GWS scraped a 5-point win against Essendon. Collingwood stole a 7-point win away against Fremantle. And the Adelaide Crows won the showdown against Port Adelaide by just 7 points.
The showdown is important context there. Rivalry games are often anomalies. The form guide goes out the window, it's pure emotion. So Adelaide winning by 7 is great for them, but I wouldn't read too much into Port Adelaide losing a close rivalry game. They are likely still a strong side.
It seems like the close shaves clustered together in the middle of the pack. It's hard to separate them.
It is. That's the mushy middle. The difference between GWS at number 7 and Essendon at number 12 is basically one kick of the football. This is where the ladder is most deceptive. The gap between these teams is microscopic.
Okay, we've surveyed the landscape. We've seen the dominance, the fairy tales, the giant killings, and the close shaves. Now comes the hard part. We need to actually build this power ranking.
The methodology. This is where we earn our keep.
Right. The source proposes a formula. I want to see if we can apply it here. The idea is to weight the ranking approximately 60% based on round 1 execution, that is win quality and opponent strength, and 40% based on the season 11 based pedigree.
Which is a sensible approach. You can't ignore the past entirely. Brisbane didn't become good overnight, but you have to respect the current form. The philosophy here is prioritizing upset-proof firepower. We want to reward teams that beat strong opponents by big margins and maybe be a little skeptical of fluky wins.
So let's do a little interactive exercise here. I'm going to throw some dilemmas at you, and I want you, and you as well, the listener, to think about where you'd slot these teams.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Dilemma number 1, the battle for the top. Do you rank Carlton in the top 3 because they beat the number 2 seed, West Coast? Or does Brisbane's blowout of St Kilda demand the number 1 spot?
It's a great question. Carlton's win is arguably better on paper because West Coast was a higher seed than St Kilda. Beating the number 2 is harder than beating the number 3, however, 51 points. That is a statement of intent. For me, Brisbane has to be number 1. You cannot argue with the 200% percentage.
I agree. Brisbane stays at 1.
Yeah.
But Carlton, they make a strong case for number 2 or 3. They slayed a giant.
I'd probably put Carlton ahead of North Melbourne in a true power ranking.
Really? Even though North won by 41 points?
Yes. Because North beat the number 6 seed, Carlton beat the number 2 seed.
Yeah.
The degree of difficulty matters. North had a flashier win, but Carlton had a harder win.
Oh, I like that distinction. Okay, dilemma number 2. St Kilda, they lost by 51 points. How much do we punish them? Are they overhyped? Do we drop them to the bottom? Or do we say, it was just Brisbane?
This is the toughest one. If you stick to the math, that 60% round one form, you have to punish them heavily. You can't get blown out like that and stay in the top 10. But because of that 40% pedigree, I wouldn't put them at 18. I'd probably slot them somewhere in the lower middle, maybe around 14th or 15th. Right. They're in the penalty box, but they aren't relegated yet.
Fair enough. They're in timeout. Dilemma number 3, Geelong. They lost to the Wooden Spooners. Are they vulnerable? Is the dynasty over, or was it just a shock to the system?
I think Geelong is vulnerable. Losing to the 18th seed at home, that raises alarm bells that losing to the number 1 seed doesn't. If I'm ranking them, I'm sliding them down significantly, maybe even below St Kilda. They have to prove it wasn't a structural failure.
So if we're visualizing this list now, we have Brisbane sitting alone at the top. Then we have this exciting group of risers, North Melbourne and Carlton, nipping at their heels.
Yeah.
And then we have the steady teams like the Gold Coast Suns, just quietly going about their business.
That's a good way to tier it. The dominant, the risers, and the steady. And then you have the close Shave Brigade, Richmond, GWS, Collingwood. They are winning, but haven't shown that explosive dominance yet.
It really highlights the difference between a ladder and power. The ladder says North Melbourne is number 2, but power asks, can you do it again?
Exactly. The ladder rewards the result. Power rankings reward the quality of the result. And right now, the quality of the foe is what matters most. Round 1 winners dominate the top 9 spots, obviously. But beating West Coast or St Kilda means more than scraping past Essendon.
So as we wrap this deep dive up, listener, we want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. We have seen some incredible narratives written in just one weekend of dice rolling. But here is the provocative question. Which team's round 1 tale most effectively rewrites their season 11 narrative?
Is it North Melbourne shedding the loser tag? Is it Carlton proving they are a giant killer?
And crucially, will that new narrative propel them forward? Or is it going to doom them when reality sets in during round 2? Because the dice, they have a way of correcting themselves.
Regression to the mean is a scary thing.
It certainly is. Well, that's all we have for today's deep dive into the AFT Dice Season 12 opener. It's going to be a wild season.
Cannot wait for round 2.
Thanks for listening. Go enjoy the season.